Hello, and thank you for joining me. It's My Prostate is Trying to Kill Me, Volume 27, and today's entitled Clayton and the Watch. Today's a little different than what we normally do. I'm going to be talking about my son. Today's his birthday. He was born on August 20th, 1986, Clayton Wade Graves. He's a pretty good little kid. He smiled all the time. He liked other people, happy. Just a great little kid. He's good looking too. And we did have problems when he was little, getting him to go to sleep, but he worked through that and things were fine. When he got a little older, his mom and I split up when he was 2. And so, we continue to still have a relationship, see him all the time and spend time together. When he got into his teen years, he was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis. So he was sent to see a pain management doctor who put him on oxycodone. And so he took the oxycodone for several years. And then once he reached the age of 18, then he was no longer allowed to take that anymore since he didn't have insurance. And so I guess he decided to look for other ways to get it. So he started swiping pills from his mom and swiping pills from friends and any way he could actually get it. And one thing led to another, and he started using heroin. And once he started using heroin, he had to find ways to be able to get the heroin. So he would steal things, he would con people, me included. And then his mom passed away, I guess about 10 years ago now. And he had stayed with me a couple of times, lived with me a couple of times, and just didn't work out too well. He not the most honest kid. He stole from me quite a few times, and finally I just said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. You're going to have to get this, get it straightened out. So he ended up finally on the street, and he's been a homeless guy for, I guess close to 10 years now, and still a heroin addict as well. So over the years, I've rescued him. I've coddled him. I've taken him to rehab. I don't know how many thousands of dollars I've spent trying to quote unquote fix him. The sleepless nights, the drives. He was out in Hemet. All the drives out to Hemet in the middle of the night looking for him. Taking care of him all the times that he got beat up by other homeless people on the street, and it was just a very difficult thing for him to live through, hiding his stuff under bushes. And I learned a lot about the homeless situation from coming out there to visit him. And I'll tell you, there's not too many things in this life that are harder than going out and finding your son, taking him to Walmart, buying him some new clothes and getting him cleaned up, renting a hotel room, and so he can get showered and shaved after not having a shower for a couple of months at a time, and taking him out to get a meal and a new backpack and stuff to put his clothes in, and then at the end of the day having to go drop him off and behind the police station or behind the DMV, somewhere that he felt he could hide and be safe, and then have to drive away and leave him there. I mean, it's something nobody should have to do. It's pretty difficult to deal with. Clayton's an uncle. His older sister has a daughter, and Clayton's also a father. He has a little daughter, Aubrey, who is now I want to say she's 8 years old, and they've had off and on a little bit of a relationship. They haven't seen each other for quite a while. Clayton showed up back on my doorstep back in 2000. I want to say it was 2017. He was clean, he was sober, he owned a car, he had an apartment, he had insurance, had a job, and I was just amazed. We started having a great relationship, spent time together. He's spending time seeing his daughter. He was working on the cars with me. He had a chance to meet his younger brother, half-brother, who he had never met before, and life was just going good. It was fantastic. And then, I don't know, around Thanksgiving, heading towards Christmas, things started to take a turn for the worse. And he said he was hearing voices and, bad voices telling him to do things that weren't good, and we were having some strange conversations, and he would text me or call me in the middle of the night, and I don't know, it was just one of those things where you watched and said, okay, he's going down again. He's heading down that slide. And I wish that I had the magic power to be able to change that, and I didn't. So he disappeared again for a while, and then I got that call that no parent wants to get at 6:30 in the morning, and it was from Texas, and they said, your son's been involved in a horrific motorcycle accident, and would you please come and see him? So I drove to Nevada, grabbed my daughter, and we shot out to El Paso, Texas, and we went to find Clayton in the hospital, and he was in bad shape. Both hips were broke, both legs were broken, both of his arms were broken, a lot of his fingers. He had a humongous gash on his head. There were other things too. I just can't think of what they are now. And he was going through withdrawal, and I've never seen my son in that condition before. And the anger and the screaming and the foul language and everything, give me my drugs. And so it just threw me for a loop. And so my daughter and I went to Walmart, and we got him new clothes, new shoes, new backpack, and all of the sundries that he would need, because he was in a homeless shelter at the time. And we took that all back to the hotel room. I wrote him a letter, and we put it in there, and left it for him, and left notes with the nurse, to tell him when he woke up that we were gone. And that was physically the last time that I've seen him. Now, Clayton and I did talk on the phone a couple of times after I got back to California, and he was okay with me leaving. He didn't feel like I had abandoned him or anything. He understood. He went back to the homeless shelter that he was staying at, and they proceeded to steal all of his stuff and beat him up. And so he was just squirming around town on his wheelchair, and the only way that he could travel was to pull with his feet, because you could see in the picture both of his arms were broken, and both in casts. So things were not going well for him. And after years and years and years of therapy, I've been able to get to the point where I can sleep at night, and I understand that there's really nothing I can do. It's not my issue. He's 34 years old. These are choices he's made and choices he has to deal with. And as much as it pains me and as much as it breaks my heart, he has to solve these problems on his own. And I know it sounds hard, and I know it sounds terrible, but that's just how life is. It sucks. So I think about him all the time. I pray for him every day. And the title I spoke about, the watch. So I want to tell you about that. And this is the part that'll be difficult for me. Clayton swiped from me a lot, be it money or objects or that kind of thing. And right before I got ready to move to this house, I don't know, 9 years ago, I think we've been here now. He and his younger brother, I'm blanking, I'm sorry, I do that sometimes. Dylan were at the old apartment, and they spent the night, and no big deal. And then they took off. I think it might have been a couple days, and they took off. So we were packing everything up, moved it over here, and when we got to the house, I started unpacking things, and I didn't notice it right away. But then later on, I'm like, you know what? I can't find my Tommy Bahama watch, and it meant a lot to me because it was my 25-year anniversary gift from AT&T. And it was a really nice watch, very heavy Tommy Bahama watch with a pineapple gold face on it, and it was engraved on the back, and it said Taz, and it had my NCS date on the back. And I could not find that thing. I looked everywhere for it. I tore every box apart. I went through every drawer. I mean, for years, I looked for that thing. Could not find it anywhere. And originally, I accused my son of taking it. I accused Clayton of taking my watch and selling it. He was evidently working at a pawn shop part of the time he was out in Hemet, so I thought, well, maybe he stole it from me and sold it out there. And he always denied that he took it. He said he never, he didn't take it. And even when he came back this last time, and he was clean and he was sober, he says, you can ask me anything you want, I'll tell you the truth. And I asked him, I said, did you take my watch? And he says, no, I didn't take your watch. And so I didn't believe him. But I just kind of gave up on the watch. Never found it. Looked everywhere for it. And about a month ago, my youngest son Campbell was here with his fiancee Selah, and we were out in the front working on his car. And Kelly comes walking out, and she says, "Hey," she goes, "Is this the watch you've been looking for?" And I looked in her hand and I said, "It is. That's the watch that I've been looking for." And she handed me my anniversary watch. And I looked on the back, and sure enough, there was my inscription on the back. And I lost it. I mean, I started crying, I started sobbing. Because the first thing I thought of is that if I don't see him again, I won't be able to tell him I'm sorry for all those years of thinking that he took this. And I don't have an explanation for why this was sitting at the top of the drawer in the nightstand next to our bed. I have gone through those drawers, countless times over the years, specifically looking for this watch, and then also doing other things too, cleaning them out. And the box for this has been in there the entire time, but the watch was never there. And Kelly said it was sitting right on top of everything else in the drawer. So I have no idea how this got to the top of the drawer. I do know that since I was diagnosed with cancer, that I've worked hard on my relationship with God, and I've prayed every day, several times a day, and I pray for my son every day, that God will take care of him, even though I don't know where he is. And so it actually started making me feel bad because of the watch, knowing that I would not be able to tell Clayton that I'm sorry for wrongfully accusing him if I didn't find him. And that's the way I was looking at it. And then a couple of weeks ago, I was looking for a new surfboard, and I contacted Paragon Surfboards, which I bought one from them in the past, and I was looking for a soft top. And a whole different story that someday I am going to be able to surf again. So I thought a soft top would be a good way to go. So I contacted them, and then the guy that I ended up talking to, and I'm sorry, the guy that I ended up talking to, his name is Peter. And so I met him at the storage unit and bought the surfboard off of him, and he liked one of the hats I was wearing, and I said, I make them. And he said, "Man, I'd love to get a couple of them." And I said, "Great, swing on by the house whenever you can, and I'll print up a couple for you." So he did. He came by in the afternoon, and we started talking. And he's a Christian. He's a man of God. And so somehow we got on the subject of homeless people and of my son, and I told him the story about the watch. And it's interesting how we don't always look at things through the same prism that other people would. I was feeling terrible because I wouldn't be able to apologize to my son. And Peter said, "You know what?" He said, "Look at it this way." He said, "You prayed for God to take care of your son." And he said, "And God found your watch." He says, "God can also find your son." And I didn't even think of that, to look at it that way. So that's my sincerest wish right now, and my birthday wish for my son. If there's any chance that you see this, I love you. I hope that you're safe. I pray you're off the street. And you have my number. It hasn't changed. So if you call, I'll be there to answer. Thank you for watching this video, and any prayers for me and my son would be greatly appreciated. I love you all.